Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stories with Pastor Torri. And this week has been crazy, to say the least. Protests, both peaceful and violent, have raged through not only Minneapolis, but all over the country, demanding justice for George Floyd and every Black person that has been unjustly killed by officers. We have seen buildings burn, tear gas deployed, and people hurting one another. But then something happened. And some may say it was the calling up of more officers in the National Guard. Some may say that it was the local neighborhood people who stood up and got up every morning to clean up their neighborhoods and take their neighborhoods back. Some say it was George Floyd's little brother who passionately spoke out at the sight of his brother's death. And some say it was the attitude of officers who laid down their weapons and shields to kneel and join the protesters. Maybe it was a combination of everything. But we saw a change. We saw people helping one another, caring for each other, and protecting and listening and calming their hearts and minds long enough to see and think of others. This is the beginning. I want to share a part of a letter with you, and it reads like this. One of the most challenging tasks facing the leadership today is that of national unity. At no other time in history of the liberation movement has it been so crucial for our people to speak with one voice and for freedom fighters to pool their efforts. Any act or statement from whatever source which tends to create or worsen division is, in the existing political situation, a fatal error which ought to be avoided at all costs. The struggle is our life. And even though the moment of victory may not be at hand, we can nevertheless make that struggle immensely enriching or absolutely disastrous. In my entire political career, few things have distressed me as to see our people killing one another as it is now happening. This sounds like a letter that could be written just in the last few weeks. But this letter was written February 3rd, 1989, by a man named Nelson Mandela. He was a South African revolutionary and political leader who was president of South Africa in the late 1990s. He spent 27 years in prison from 1962 to 1990. And in 1994, he became the country's first Black head of state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. Much of his focus was on overcoming institutionalized racism and working towards racial justice and reconciliation. To this day, Mandela is a controversial figure to many. But in this letter, he spoke his truth. And in many ways, it remains true today. Our leadership, whether it be political, judiciary, or civil, have to learn to work together, take responsibility for their decisions, and learn to speak as one voice. But yet, on top of all that, we as individuals have a responsibility for our own actions. We as individuals can choose to destroy or we can choose to build. And we also have a responsibility to others. We can either choose to hurt or we can choose to protect. Our choices determine what kind of people we become. And joined together, we decide what kind of community we become, what kind of nation we become. Over the past week, I was reminded of an old Native American story of a grandfather talking to his grandson about good and evil. And the grandfather explained there are two wolves fighting inside of you, my child. That's what he said to his grandson. There are two wolves fighting inside of you, my child. One is a good wolf who is kind and compassionate, generous, honorable, and loving. The other is a wolf that is evil. This wolf is greedy, destructive, hateful, and selfish. They battle inside of you every single day. The grandson listened intently to his grandfather's words and then asked, "But grandfather, which wolf wins?" And the grandfather looked intently at the boy and said, "Whichever one you feed." So, what if a huge group of people came together who are choosing to feed the good wolf inside of them? They choose to work together. Even though they may come from different backgrounds, have different colors of skin, have different belief systems, they come together to build and protect rather than destroy and hurt. What would that look like? That would be powerful, wouldn't it? And it would be beautiful. I want to end this time with a written prayer from the Iona community. And it was written by a woman named Kathy Galloway. And it is called God Beyond Borders. And I'm going to pull that up for you right now. And I'm going to get the right slide for you. And I ask that you pray this with me, whether it be out loud or silently. God Beyond Borders, we bless you for strange places and different dreams, for the demands and the diversity of the wider world, for the distance that lets us look back and reevaluate, for new ground where broken stems can take root and grow and blossom. We bless you for the friendships of strangers, the richness of our cultures, and the painful gift of freedom. Blessed are you, God Beyond Borders. But if we have overlooked the exiles in our midst, heightened our exclusion by our indifference, given our permission for a climate of fear, and tolerated a culture of violence, have mercy on us. God who takes side with justice, confront our prejudice, stretch our narrowness, sift our laws and our lives with a penetrating insight of your spirit until generosity is our only measure. Amen. It is my hope that this country, whether it be politics or civil, judiciary, that we learn to speak in one voice, that we look for common ground, and that we become unified, that we can settle our hearts and settle our souls so that we stop hurting one another and begin to see how we can heal, how we can bring justice for all people, no matter what color of skin they are, that we can have a country where they can say, where every single person can say, I am free. May you all have a good week, and blessings to you and peace to you. And we will hope to see you on Sunday morning at 9:30 or next week at 4. May God's grace go with you. Amen.